You want to fight crime? Let's get dangerous.
Well, it's Saturday and a lot of people are staying in, so why not watch me here on the next episode of Thinking Comic Book Special from the Deso Small Press Publisher. I'm your host, Joe D. McPhee here, and we got a somewhat interesting show here because of tonight's topic here. And I will explain tonight's topic after a couple things before that, but we want to welcome everybody on in here and at least get you guys all nice and comfy and warm with your snacks and your drinks here because we got a few things to talk about here. So nevertheless, let's go ahead and get things rolling like we normally would here by telling you that stupid o'clock still happens 1 hour into our show. If we go into a second hour, that's going to be dependent on you guys here tonight, depending on how much we cover within the first hour here. That is followed up by Last Man Standing at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. Central. And then you get a little bit of a respite until Monday, where you get to see Nicholas Tockert and Nevermind the Furthermore at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And don't forget about Comic Book Spectrum. Comic Book Spectrum will be back on this Thursday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. What we're going to talk about this week and what cartoon might be featured this week, we just don't know as of yet, but nevertheless, we're here. We're going to be there and we're going to be doing our thing here. So we're going to give the people a little bit more time here before we get into most people's favorite part of the show, which is new comic book pickups for the week. We do have a small little stack. It's a tiny stack of stuff here, but we're going to cover them here in the next couple of minutes. We're just going to try to give people a little bit more time to get here. As always, we encourage people to chat it up in the chat here. We keep it live and entertaining, I should say. And we got Rider Bikers. Welcome on in here. We're about to get ready to get started for our new comic book pickups for the week here. Glad that you're here. Oh, we got people watching now. So let's go ahead and get started with new comic book pickups for the week here. As I stated before, we got a little bit of a stack here, and that little bit of a stack always starts with something that is kind of good and near here, which is Spectre #1. Yes, this is Spectre #1. Trying to get the glare out of there where you can see it right here. There it is. Issue #1 of Spectre from, I forgot what year here. But there it is. I got a Spectre #1 here. And then on top of that, I got better copies from Volume 1 of Mr. Miracle. This is issue number 15 with Silo in the midst here. And then there's another Silo issue here with issue number 16 of Mr. Miracle from Volume 1. I am missing, I think, only 3 issues from Volume 1. If my memory serves me correct, it's issue 19, 23, and 24. And I would have completed that series here. And Riders Bikers saying hi. Yeah, every time I join the live people, yeah, cool. In the comments, I mean, yeah, exactly. thank you so much for commenting and everything here. Now back to new comic book stickers for the week here. I got a nice little stack of Ghost comics from Dark Horse. So I'm trying to complete the runs of Ghost for Dark Horse now. So we're going to go over what came in this week here for Ghost. We got Ghost number 5, Ghost number 7 from volume 1, Ghost number 8 from volume 1, 10 from volume 1, 11 from volume 1, 12 from volume 1, 13 for volume 1, 15 from volume 1, 19 for volume 1, 27 from volume 1, 28 from volume 1, 29 from volume 1, 30 from volume 1. Then we get into volume 2 with issue number 5, and then issue number 8, followed up by issue number 10 for volume 2, and then for volume 3, issue number 2. And then we got Ghost Special number 1, and then Ghost Special number 3 here. So all of that is there. Yeah, the one you said that was 27 obviously is it's actually 340. No, it says 27. It's Ghost 27. You probably making a good joke here too. I probably missed something, but yep, that's what's Ghost 27. But it was there right there. But you probably made a good joke and it probably flew over my head here. We also followed those up with Phantom Lady and the Doll Man. I still missing, I believe, 2 issues of this here. I'm missing issue 3 and issue 4, but I do have another copy of issue 1 and a copy of issue number 2. And then we follow that up with the first issue of a 3-part series called Oracle the Cure. So that's Oracle number 1, but it's issue number 1 of a 3-part series. Then we got the variant version of the Mighty Thor issue number 16. We follow that up with another classic book of Legion of the Superheroes, or in this case, Superboy and the Legion of the Superheroes 222. And the last book for new comic book pickups for the week is Hulk number 1. I believe this is from volume 2. This is the beginning of what I consider probably one of the most pivotal Hulk series ever, dealing with Doc Green. This is dealing with the first part of it, about Bruce Banner getting shot and almost dying, and in the result of him getting shot pretty much in his head. The gamma radiation pretty much saves his life because he was able to regenerate, and the persona of Dr. Green comes out. And in the persona of Dr. Green, he started to go around starting to cure everybody, whoever came across gamma radiation. So all of the other Hulks were now at risk of losing their powers. Great series to read, great volume to read if you could get your hands on every last issue, which I think I have every last one. I have to check COZ, but that is a great series, great read here. And the only reason why I say it's a great read, because out of all of the people that ever possessed the powers of the Hulk, he only left one. He only left one to make the decision for themselves. Everybody else, he pretty much tracked them down and forced them to take an antidote, except for one person. I'm not going to do spoilers in that aspect here, but it is a great read for that particular run of Hulk here. Yeah, that's like on the first issue. I am the first issue of Batman, the first issue of Spider-Man, and the issue of Superman. Okay, not bad. Yeah, I want a comic book collector. I have the same one. It's 27, but when I look at it, a database, it actually says 340, and there's 340 of them. Yeah, there's probably you probably got issue number 27, but there's probably 340 of the full entire run of that series here. So yeah, that's a lot of reading to get through here. And I probably will explain more once we get into the updates as far as what I've been collecting here, Rider Bikers, and it probably makes a little bit more sense in the long run once we get into it. Matter of fact, let's just go ahead and jump right into the collecting updates here. And this is a brand new feature for this year because I always talked about my private collection most of the time here, and people don't understand that when I talk about I have all of certain volumes here, it's kind of coming to like the end about what do I collect now once since I really finishing up all the series that I really truly love as a whole here. So getting back to the updates, I clicked on the wrong one. Getting back to the updates here. For Film Force, there's no change here. I'm still missing about 50 issues from above issue number 108, but I have everything from issue number 1 to issue 108 without missing an issue. And then from 108 to I think it's like 220 now, I am missing somewhere about like 50 issues sporadically within that run here. And Film Force is getting harder and harder to come by because after issue 100, they became very, 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 very short printed. They're short run prints. So it's getting harder to find those later numbers, just like how a lot of people look for Spawn, the later numbers of Spawn, they're very short run printed here. Spider Woman, I could safely say here within the next couple of weeks, I will have volume 8 completed here. I just finished paying off for issue 5 and issue 7. They're not here yet, so I can't remove it from the list here. But where we're at as of right now, I'm still missing 13 issues from volume 3. That is the one that is not the Jessica Drew volume here. I'm still missing issues 4 and 6 from volume 5, issues number 19 through 21 from volume 7. But I just made the purchase for issues 5 and 7 for volume 8. So that will be completed shortly here. No change in the Uncanny X-Men. I still have all issues from issue number 1 from 1963 to the end of volume 2, minus the annuals here. I don't have all the annuals in those runs as of yet. I haven't been back to storage as of yet to double check to see if I still have if I have issue 24 for volume 3. If I do already have it on hand, then I have to change the graphics from everything from from issue number 1 for 63 to volume 3. I still haven't found issues 13 through 17 from volume 4. I'm still missing 9 issues from volume 5, and with volume 6, the update is going to be I'm missing issues 2 through 21, and then from that point I'm getting everything from issue 22 on that's being pulled for me. So this graphic here is going to change from 2 to 21, I believe, here shortly, but that's can be taken care of a little bit later. As far as the X-Men run from 1991, the Jim Lee X-Men, as most people call it, I have issue 1 to the end of volume 3, again, not including all the annuals here. I'm missing issues 2, 7, 8, 13, and 15 from volume 4. And then I'm missing a whole bunch of issues from volume 5, and I didn't realize there was a volume 6. So those are pretty much what it is here. And then we're getting back to what I said about Mr. Miracle Mr. Miracle from volume 1, 19, 23, and 24. And then I got all the rest of Mr. Miracle from volume 2 through 4. That's including I still want a first printing of issue 1 from volume 4. That's also including Mr. Miracle Source of Freedom and the 7 Soldiers Mr. Miracle series as well here. And it looks like we got Christiana. Welcome on in. Glad to see that you're here. And let's get back to the collecting update and the last series here. The Wonder Woman is about to get ready to change some more. I was able to buy 2 more issues here, which would change the scope here. For those who know me and know my collection here, I'm still trying to get all of volume 1 of Wonder Woman. So this was going all the way back to like 43 Wonder Woman, from Wonder Woman #1 to the present here. I have everything. According this is about to change here, and that's what this whole graphic is going to change here once a couple of issues come in here. But as of right now, that I can safely say, I have from issue 158 from volume 1. That's going, I think that's from like 158 from like 1962 to the present. All issues from there. And the magic number as of right now is still 112. That's still going, that 112 number is going to go down, and the number of how many issues that are missing below issue 158 is also going to change as well. So be prepared for an update within the next couple of weeks here as far as the Wonder Woman updates are concerned here. Now, for the new people that are with us today, I just want to make them aware is that I am also a comic book creator here. I have a series called Amazonia that has been out for several years here. I'm still currently working on issue number 8 on that. I do have another series called Primetime Saturday Night, where we have our first foil cover here of Amazon right here in my hand. I'm working on issue number 6 of that as we speak here. We're about to get ready to release our first Not Safe for Work book here, which is called Legends of the Giantess Slayer this year. I have to get that over to my editor here shortly. And we're going to, go full bore from there. But I have been publishing for the past 20 years. As of right now, we're going into we're getting close to 30 years. We're getting close to, we're getting close to 20. We're getting close to 20. Because we first released the original version of Amazonian 1 in 2008. We're almost at 2028, so that would be officially 20, getting close to our 20th year in publishing here. But doing the whole self-publishing thing is a whole different ball of wax than having somebody else publishing you. One of the most difficult things that I could honestly say is the distribution routes that self-publishers have to go through. We do have books digitally through Global Comics and Comixology. So those are 2 places that you can always get our comics books at, plus our actual company link here, which is cgcstudios.com. But that's what I've been working on. I've been still sketching other ideas and everything, as well as working on pages for Primetime Saturday Night. And I've been working on some Bristol boards for issue number 8 here. So that brings us to tonight's topic. So hopefully we are hunkered down and ready to go, since it doesn't seem like not too many people are talking about the books for new comic books pickups for the week. Tonight's topic is, has storytelling left entertainment? What do I mean by that? Well, earlier today, I watched 2 movies that I've wanted to watch for a long time here because I haven't seen them as of yet. One of the movies was Tron Ares, and the other one was Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. And Episode 9 was the one that really wanted me to do this topic for tonight here, because it's kind of bothers me a bit when it comes to storytelling, entertainment, as well as when it comes to things in comic books, television, movies. Have we gotten to the point where storytelling is an afterthought, or is it really kind of a moot point as long as you kind of spoon feed the audience what they need to know to kind of have a actual feeling of what's going on the screen, or what's going on in their novel, or what's going on in the comic book here. It just seems like aspects of storytelling has gone by the wayside, that the hero's journey has gone away in a lot of aspects to kind of like simplify things to the point where the crucial aspect of the story doesn't matter anymore. There's no true storytelling, and it's weird in that aspect. And episode Star Wars Episode 9 made me think about that more so as we go along here with the sequel movies. You know, episode 7, 8, and 9 made me think about that, because as many times people kept telling me that episode 9 was very, very bad, I sit back and think, if I did not go in kind of like spot checking for all the stuff for Star Wars lore, it wasn't a bad movie. But if I look at it from, how can I put this? If I look at it from what was built up from episode 7 to 9, there's problems. If I look at it from the standpoint of what has been done prior and to novels, there were bigger problems, a lot more problems out there. So it makes me wonder, when it comes to decision time, when it comes to writing scripts and writing out stories for like screenplays, and writing out scripts for comic books, and writing out scripts for television, are we getting away from storytelling, true storytelling, and, giving characters that journey that we need to go on for we could either like or hate or be indifferent to them? When it's like, for example, with episode 9, they finally came out and said the one thing that I suspected back in episode 8, that Rey was actually Rey Palpatine. Now, who is Rey Palpatine? It's like, unless you read the novels, you would have never known who Rey Palpatine was. And I look at what they did in these movies, it's like they never really talked about Palpatine's lineage in any of the movies. And we're going all the way back to episode 1 when he was a senator. Nobody knew about his lineage. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're going to do something new for the next generation of Star Wars fans. And now we get, Rey, Finn, Poe Dameron, and all these newer characters. And all of a sudden, one by one, it's like you get rid of the older characters. It's like you got rid of Luke, you got rid of Han, you got rid of Leia. I mean, granted, Luke and Han are still around. Carrie Fisher passed away, so you can't have a lot more of Princess Leia Organa anymore. But you started moving away from those characters, those beloved characters, and didn't really give them much of a send-off other than really killing them off. For these newer characters that, if you haven't read some of the novels, you would not know who they are. And then a lot of times, some of the diehards, and I'm not a diehard, but there's a lot of the diehards was like, where's Mara Jade? Where's Dash Rendar? Where's all of these other great characters in the lineage of Star Wars lore before we get to where we're at right now? And I get where they're coming from, because when you look at episode 7 and how they build up 7, it's like, okay, they still trying to follow, the whole George Lucas, diagram of how to tell the Star Wars stories in sets of 3 movies. But what they did is with this 3, they cut out a lot of stuff that should have been a part of the movie to help us understand some of the characters and everything. See, this is why I get why Boyega does not want to do another Star Wars movie, because they did a lot of these characters wrong. Like with his character, Finn, they did wrong. And when I say did wrong, I'm not saying that, they did, that they did something egregious, but what they did wrong is that they never built up the character the way that they should have, because technically Finn should have had a bigger effect on on the movie franchise. They focus a lot more on Rey and Poe than Finn. Matter of fact, they focus more on really Rey and Poe. And everybody's like, well, what about Kylo? After watching episode 9, I was like, Kylo was really supposed to have been an afterthought. And the other thing that made me so mad about episode 9 is that every vision that everybody had, from what Luke saw, from what Kylo saw, from what Leia kind of saw, got overridden by what was bothering Rey in her vision in episode 9. And I was like, nobody went back and thought about the breadcrumbs. The breadcrumb technique. It's like you're giving us a little bit here and a little bit here, a little bit here to figure out who she really was. And then you just want us to believe by episode 9 that Luke and Leia knew that she was Palpatine. She was Palpatine's granddaughter. You just automatically just make that leap. Now, the one thing that I liked about episode 9 is when she finally saw Luke in his more, if I could say, Force spirit mode, like the ghost of Luke. What he said was great wisdom. It's like, yeah, you have to face your fear and everything, but the first thing that he said was, I was wrong. He said, I let my own fear get the best of me, and I kind of messed things up for everybody. And I was like, that I'm kind of like, I'm happy for, because that was one of the things that I loved about the end of The Last Jedi, when he finally talked to Yoda, and Yoda was like, why don't you wake up? It's like, our ways cannot be their ways. It's like, you're dealing with a different generation. What we have to go through is not what they're going through now. It's a big difference. And for Luke to admit that he was wrong to Rey, I was like, okay, that's a breath of fresh air. We're finally getting back to understanding what was really going on, and why this whole thing about what's going on with her is so important. But it kind of sped up the hero's journey. We didn't really go into it. It's like we just got this whole moody Rey out of nowhere in episode 9, and nobody understood why. And it was kind of like one of those things. It's a big secret. Finn kind of knew what was going on, because she kind of told him a little bit, and he's like, okay, I understand. The other thing about Finn that ticked me off, and it's something that they built up kind of like in the first 2 movies, and then you pull this stunt in episode 9, where he finds out that it's like, oh, there's more people like him. And it's like, what do you mean more people like him? More people who were pretty much born and raised to be stormtroopers, where the actual, if I could say, training process or the brainwashing process did not work. And there was a whole squadron of them that was off on this planet that he didn't know about. And it's like for the longest time, he kind of like, oh, so I'm not alone. I was like, yeah, that could have been several different stories that could have happened in the Star Wars universe if he would have known about them earlier. The other thing, and let me see, I got comments here. Oh, there's Parallax here. Well, welcome on in here. So, getting back to what I'm saying here, that could have been stories that could have been told. It could have been told in the next trilogy of movies. They could have did a lot with that. No, they cut it short. The other thing, this whole thing about relationships and everything in this trilogy is really weird, and they could not make up their mind about what was what. I'm still mad about Rose, because Rose was pretty pivotal when it comes to the journey that Finn had, and then you kind of minimized it, and then you kind of set him up to be like, oh, here's another female from a different unit that from the storm for that was a different unit of the stormtroopers, that now he's kind of like, oh, you're like me, and kind of moving that way, even though you're still kind of hitting that he still got feelings towards Rey. And then you have the whole thing about Kylo Ren and Rey, and it's like they just don't know which direction that they wanted to go in. And to be quite honest, because of that, it makes me wonder which movie was worst, episode 2 or episode 9. Because episode 2, they forced a love story in the middle of that episode, which really wasn't necessary. They did not need the love story aspect in episode 2. Episode 9 was like, really? Why is this? Why is everybody fawning over Rey for no apparent reason? It's like Kylo's like, come here, take my hand, and we could rule the universe together. We could be together. And then, in that middle of the fight and everything, Rey eventually kills Kylo and then brings him back to life. It said, I would have accepted the hand of Ben, but I could never accept the hand of Kylo. I was like, what? Like, what? So now they just going to erase everything from episode 7 about how Finn kind of felt about Rey. But then again, it doesn't surprise me, because they kind of made the whole thing about what was going on with Rose and Finn go away in episode 9 too. Rose was madly in love with Finn. Rose was the only one that saw Finn for what he was, a true hero, a man among men, because he understood what was the difference between right and wrong, despite the training that he went through. But again, the whole thing about, oh, there's more like me and I can hang around them and this, that, the other, and got enamored. And it's like, no, I gotta stay on the deck to take out the command center with somebody that is like me and everything, and told Rose to, like, no, go ahead with everybody else. It's like, it just muddied things. It really did. It really did here. Lando's daughter. That's the other thing that almost made me throw up. The line of, it's like, do you know where you're from? No. Do you want to know? I'm like, what? It's like, that's yours. I just shook my head. It's just like they rushed so much stuff. They rushed this trilogy. This trilogy has no direction whatsoever. Episode 9 was trash. Episode 2 at least had a plot and a story, a beginning, middle, and end. Episode 9 had what I consider is just a end. It was a end. It was a end to Rey's story. That's the reason why I don't understand why they named it Rise of Skywalker. And if you paid attention to my Facebook, I said they should have called it The Redemption of Palpatine. That's what I would have named it. Episode 9, The Redemption of Palpatine. Because it was pretty much, the whole lineage of Palpatine pretty much getting explained and why Rey was so important and why nobody was able to mention about what was going on with Rey unless you read the novels. But I believe they had to call it Rise of Skywalker because of name recognition. Because think about it, would Star Wars fan go to see a Star Wars movie whose subtitle was called The Redemption of Palpatine? Because everybody would have been like, why would the Emperor come back and try to redeem himself? I'm just saying. Redemption of Palpatine or the end of the old era would be more of a apt title for episode 9. Well, I should say the old era, the end of the old republic, because that's what it truly was. It was either the redemption of Palpatine, being that this was solely Rey's story, or you could call it the end of the old republic, because after this, it's like Palpatine's dead, the old Jedi Order is gone, the Sith Order is technically wiped out by this time. Because if my timeline is correct, the stuff that is happening with Ahsoka came before all of this here. So everything is wiped out. So it leaves Star Wars wide open for a lot of nonsensical stuff to happen here. He's trying to kill you for 3 movies and now you kissed him. I'm just looking at it from this standpoint here, since you're going to bring it up that way. It was more along the lines of like, take my hand in marriage or I will kill you. Here I come again. Take my hand in marriage or I will kill you. Because you don't know who you are. I know who you are. I know the real you. So take my hand, we call it a day, or I will kill you. I literally yell, oh, fuck you. That scene when she brought him back to life, it said, I would have taken Ben's hand. I was like, oh, I know people threw up right there. I knew people threw up right there at that moment. It happened at the worst time ever. Leia was dying. She finally, used the last bit of her force to reach Kylo, to say, to get his attention before she passed away. She passed away and they both felt it. In that moment, she kills him. And then she realized, my master's dead. and just thought, oh fuck. And then look, it's like, oh fuck, I just killed her son. I'm going to bring him back to life. And then said, yeah, I would marry you if you would have just stayed, Ben Skywalker. What? Out of left field. What? It's like, you did not know him like that to be like, I know who Ben Skywalker is. What the, it's like, what? It was a what the moment. Episode 9 was Vine compilation. Maybe, but I still look at it as like, this is the end of this was the end of Rey's story. This whole trilogy boiled back down to, this trilogy was about Rey. Everybody else doesn't matter. It was all about Rey. Kevin Smith had a good point with one of his predictions. Since Rey was the only one left, it should have been morphed into the she morphed the Jedi Order into something different called the Skywalkers. That only makes sense. That only makes sense if you had complete control over the franchise. That only makes sense. What they did show was her reverence to the Jedi Order. Because technically now she is the last Jedi. And again, which makes me wonder, why did they name episode 8 The Last Jedi? And then on top of that, I understand the whole thing, the whole rivalry aspect, the whole love to hate you type aspect between her and Ben, especially after the fact that Ben brought her back to life at the cost of his. That part I was not expecting. When Ben did the same trick, the same thing to Rey at the very end, he ends up dying. He ends up dying in doing it. It's like the life force that she gave to him, he gave back to her. And it was just up here, it's like, equivalent exchange. Interesting. Interesting how it worked at that moment than anything else. But it's just weird in that aspect here. Also, what the fuck up with the knife to cut. That I don't know. That part I just don't know. That was kind of like some of the weird stuff that just happened. But then again, in the Emperor's chambers, it's like, why did she see the Sith version of herself? She saw the Sith version of herself, and it messed her up. And then after she saw that, hi, I'm Kylo. I'm back. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you know who you are. There's no need to be afraid anymore. And then what, and then why wasn't the piece on Endor? Good question. That's a good question. Yeah, the blade is ancient. It's like, why would it show a map of the Death Star blown up 30 years ago? Was Rey 30 years? Was Rey 30 years old or greater? That's the question that I would have now. because you have to think about the bounty hunter that, or the transport guy that took her parents. Was that 30 years ago? Because remember, he's been working for the Empire for a lot longer than that. He worked for Palpatine directly. So he probably would have had access to that. But again, it's just, they tried to do too much too fast in this movie. Way too much. Yes, yeah, more like she makes them like the Bendu. Yep. The kid has the force. The little slave boy, he pulls the broom. Well, J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio wrote episode 9. Oh, brother! Now you kind of spoke volumes there. So this is why I entitled this episode the way that I did here, about has storytelling left entertainment? They did too much too fast in this movie. I hate to say it though. They did too much too fast too soon. If I wrote this, they had more enough time to do another trilogy after this. Because they could have set everything up as like episode 9 could have been titled the Return of the Emperor. That's the way I would have labeled it, and it would have ended when they finally found, it's like they could have did all this other stuff. Rey could be working through all her problems and all of her different rage and everything about how she couldn't see any the other Jedi. The other Jedi was not making themselves available to her. They could have worked all of that out. They could have worked the whole relationship between Leia and Ben out a lot better, especially after Ben saw Han. After he got brought back, he saw, out of all people, Han, which makes me think about the Lego movies did Star Wars better than the actual franchise did. I mean, I hate to say it. The people who did all the different Lego movies, especially the Lego Star Wars stuff, did it better than the people who do the actual main body of the franchise. The people who wrote the Lego stuff understood how important Han was to the storyline. Again, it boggles the mind. It really boggles the mind that over here, these one group of people understand and treat the lore and treat the source material with respect. But over here, with the people who governing that main body and that main branch, kind of spat on the source material to a greater degree because they want to do specific things in a movie for entertainment value. And that's kind of like, it's more along the lines of, why are they doing this? Why are you spinning on the storytelling aspect to give somebody that is a moviegoer something that is easier to digest? But you really needed to expand that, if I could say, that hero's journey, for people could really grasp what was going on. Because to me, it's like they force fed you a lot of Rey's history and a lot of the Palpatine history in episode 9 that was never brought up in 7 or 8. Y'all just ran right through it like it's an afterthought. You don't need to know that. You just need to know that she was related to the Emperor, and that's it. We don't have to talk about why the Emperor killed her parents and all this other stuff. If you read the novels, you already know. And if you didn't, we don't care. Because it's going to be news to you, and most likely you probably don't care. I'm up there, it's like, no. If you knew what was going on with her parents and why she had to be kept away from dear old granddad, it changes how you look at this trilogy. It changes the momentum of this trilogy. It flips this trilogy on its head if you had that information. But they dropped the ball. But it's just kind of like one of those things. Yeah, he was on the Falcon with Rey doing the ball shooting training. Also, Palpatine should be Augustus. Yeah. Not Chef, yeah. But again, they're spatting on there's, and I say spatting because it's this after effect of, they already spit on it, they spat on it, and they did what they did with the lore, which kind of brings me back to why I'm asking the question: why do the storytelling this way? Why are you shortening that understanding of the Palpatine story in such a tiny chunk where people don't question it? And then on top of that, because you gave it such a tiny chunk, everybody else's story was secondary. Because of the whole thing, it's like, we're going to focus on Rey. We're going to focus on Rey. And if you're focusing on Rey, you need to understand it's like Rey is trying her best not to become a Sith. This is not like Kylo's story. Kylo wanted to be like his grandfather, but he never understood why Anakin became Sith. He never grasped why. He idolized his grandfather, but never understood why his grandfather did what he did. The way that they resolved it, I didn't like it. The way that he kind of redeemed himself is passable. Is it? If I was writing it, would I do it that way? No. It is what it is here. Red Letter Media. So JJ and Chris were right. Episode 9. The guy. Yeah, Rich. What the movie? The movie is going to be fucking terrible. And again, I get why Star Wars fans consider this movie terrible. If I take the lore out of Star Wars, if I take the lore away from episode 9, it's a good popcorn movie. And what I call a popcorn movie is like, it's a movie that you can sit there and watch. It's enough action up in it. It's enough story that's there that you could follow along, and you could think that it's like, yeah, it had a weak beginning, somewhat of a middle, but a decent, satisfying, hey, we won at the end type ending. A la AKA episode 6 type. Hey, we got the big happy ending at the very end, just like everything else here. But when you put back the Star Wars lore into it, it was not Star Wars. I'm sorry. This was not a Star Wars movie. This is just like, hey, we got all these characters just doing all these messed up things without having true resolution to it. I mean, they just glossed over Leia's death. They glossed over it. It's like, oh, we don't have time to mourn whatsoever. We gotta deal with the final order that's coming through. It's like, nah. No, it's like you just lost one of the last people that wields the force. And you just gonna gloss over that and be like, yeah, we're about to go into war. It's like, don't you know that that's a morale killer in most armies? One is your greatest legendary warriors passing away the way that they did. That's poor storytelling all day, every day. Very poor storytelling. And then the secret life of Poe Dameron. Oh, he used to be a spice runner. He used to be doing all this devious type stuff before he became a member of the rebel faction. I was like, oh, that could have been a whole other set of stories here, and the stuff that kind of like Leia kind of hinted that she kind of sort of knew about him, and the reason why she wanted him to kind of groom him to lead everybody, because you've been through some things, and I know that you've been through some things. You can't fool me. And if something did happen to me or this other general, you would have been the perfect candidate to get these people out of these situations. Again, I paid attention to episode 8 and episode 7 very much. And I knew it was a reason why everybody was like, oh, I already had one person say, oh, you got to go see episode 9. Everybody else said, don't see episode 9. Please just don't do it. Don't do it. I know you're not a Star Wars fan, but don't go see episode 9. It was not good, not a good movie. This, that, and the other here. Yeah, if you take away the lore, it's still terrible. Again, popcorn movies are not meant to be good. They're supposed to be entertaining. It's supposed to be something that you can watch and get a good laugh out of it, get some shits and giggles out of it. You're not looking for it to be good. But that's a whole different thing. That's the reason why I say it's a popcorn movie. It's like grab a bucket of popcorn, you sit there and watch it for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's like you get a somewhat of a beginning, a mediocre middle, but that that happy ending type ending. It makes it the movie by itself. If you watch the movie by itself without watching episode 7 and 8, it makes no damn sense. It makes zero sense. It makes zero sense, because you're up here. It's like, why is this woman all moody and whatnot? Why is she up here is like training for no apparent reason and blah 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 blah? Why is she just so angry and this, that, and the other? It's like, oh, I'm fearing what I am and blah 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 blah, and not really going into who she was. And then having one of the main antagonists talk about, I know who you are, and you're going to live up to the expectation, and such is trying to kill you. you take the lore out of it. It's like it gives you a reason to play this movie as a popcorn movie for Mystery Science Theater 3000. It's a fun little romp of a so-called action movie that, if it was at a dollar show, you're not going to complain about like the $1 or $2. Horses on a Star Destroyer, yeah, had to turn left and drop them all. What? Oh my goodness. the ground crew. Okay, we're going to take the ground crew in. It's like, uh-oh. It's like they turned off the signal tower. Well, where the signal going to come from? It's going to come from that Star Destroyer over there. We're going to go to that Star Destroyer. Take us there. And the lead Star Destroyer was like, okay, fine. Guess what? It's like, get ready to jam their speeders. Sir, we don't detect those speeders. And here, and like you said, here comes the horse. I feel like this is just messed up. That's the reason why I said it's a good popcorn movie for the ridiculousness that is there. No, you missed what actually happened here. Episode 9, and this is the key thing. This is why everything is a popcorn movie when you take the lore out of it. Do you know how Poe Dameron and the first wave of forces got there? They did not have the Wayfinder. What they had was the actual coordinates and the actual path that Rey flew to get through everything. They had actually recorded that as she was sending the signal. She was sending them the signal, and they was recording each and every step that she took to get there. So everybody pretty much had like a interstellar roadmap because of Rey using the Wayfinder in Luke's Red 5 X-Wing. I was like, so Luke buried the Red 5 all these years in the water again. Again, if everybody has the same plotted coordinates that Rey gave them to through those signals, it makes sense. But then again, like I said, it's a popcorn movie at this point. You have to just shut down your mind, just let the ridiculousness happen, and you could be somewhat happy. You can't just let it's like, man, this is some poor storytelling and this, that, and the other. You just have to just let it go and be like, yeah, this is a ridiculousness. I get it. Because one person plot the course, now everybody has the means to get through that without losing a ship. Okay. Rey, I have to tell you, I need to tell you something, Rey. Again, I'm kind of glad that he didn't say it, because I believe she would have shut him down. He would have struck out. He fell in love with Rey ever since episode 7. Despite the fact that he would have been better off with Rose. But that's my opinion, though. Rose was a better fit for him, because Rose would have kept him grounded. Rey would have probably made him better, because when you're forced to tune like he was, because again, when in any time in Star Wars history that a stormtrooper picks up a lightsaber and was able to wield it and use it against somebody who is trained on the dark side and somewhat held his own until I think he either got slashed or his hand got something. Either he got slashed across his chest or something about part of his arm got hit, but he held his own. Not too many people can do that. Matter of fact, I don't even think Han Solo ever did it, and he was force attuned. But saying all that to say, they were kind of setting up the whole thing about him and Rey possibly being the head of what would have been the light side of the Force from Episode 7. So this whole thing about Rey, I gotta tell you something. It's like about his true feelings about her. I believe she would have shot him down, and I'm kind of glad that he never got it. Exactly. That's that part is the movie saying we say so because we say so. Because when they got back to the whole thing about the ship to Kylo's Star Destroyer and the general that was there, it's like, oh, we have to report that we lost one of our transporters. And it's like, yeah, I already know about that. Tell me something that I don't know. Well, that was the second one. The other one that had our captive person finally arrived. I was like, what? You only showed one transport. Where was the second one? And why was there a second one? That just didn't make any sense. Why would you send two transports? Not just small transports. This is like, oh, we could put ships and stuff in these transports. Why would you send two? That just doesn't make any sense. But that's a movie we say so type deal. I want to say this here, and maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong. One of the things I don't like about Star Wars is the fact that they have too many remote locations that are not easily to be found. Like where Palpatine was located. You have to go through all of this problem, all these different hoops and loops and jumps and bumps and all this other stuff just to get there. And then when you get there, you have this full-fledged armada ready to go. And they can't take off because all of them are in unison off of one GPS. When you said it that way, the first thing that came to my mind was Ahsoka. If you remember the end of Ahsoka, what fleet was so many parsecs away that only the ancient text could only find it? But at least with them, they didn't need the special signal to launch their fleet. They just needed to wait until a certain time frame where the portal will open for them and they could just go out. So they were just waiting for a particular sequence, but it's pretty much just simply the same thing. It's like, oh, one needs GPS and the other one have to wait until this, special phenomenon happens. It's just weird. Just weird. So how the fuck did the main Star Destroyer not just beam the info to the? That's the. Oh my goodness! Again, this is why I say it was a popcorn movie. Because why asking that question is like, Why are they using old school transmitter technology if they got all this other advanced tech on these Star Destroyers? Don't they share the same mainframe information? Don't they share the same, communications between all the different ships? Why is there like a big old beacon sitting on the top of the main Star Destroyer? Be like, here's your GPS signaling location device here, right here, that we got to give you power to, that we got to put power to for you to be able to find where to go. Yeah, how about just lift off, point anywhere in space and go? Yeah, I agree. It was the lure that you had to force attune to even hold it. Yeah, which was why Han was able to use it in Empire. Again, Han was able to hold it while it was active to toss it. Was able to hold it to toss it to Luke. Now, Finn actually fought Kylo. I mean, was going blow to blow and was sort of holding his own to a greater degree. Finn is a bad mofo. Which also makes me think that Finn could have been from a certain bloodline from the Jedi era. That, unless you read the books, it kind of could have been one of my favorite ones that we don't know what happened in the movies here, Mace Windu. But the books don't really state that. I would have been played around with it if I was writing the lore. I would have played around with that as like, Finn would have came from Mace Windu's lineage. It would explain a lot about, yeah, I got through all this discipline and everything, but just something just didn't seem right about all this stuff here. I can't even think of the captain's name that was always harsh. And I keep saying this for the longest time. That captain was female. It was not another male. He had a female captain that he reported to, because they wouldn't have used an feminine voice inside a mask. But then again, I could be wrong. I could have been wrong on that. Yep. Again, I like I said, it was a popcorn movie. That's the whole thing about C3PO. It's like, oh yeah, I could read it. I just can't tell you what it says. Why? Because I'm forbidden. I like that television series of Ahsoka. I like it. To me, it was the continuation of Rebels. Ahsoka was literally the continuation of Rebels until we got to the end. I did not like how it ended, but it gave us hope that she and Sabine will be able to make it back eventually. But yep, World War II Bucker. Yeah, they could have made him Mace to second or third cousin. Yep. That's the I would have eaten that up. I would, because again, Finn had did too much in 7 and 8 to not be considered a candidate to be a Jedi at that point. And that was one of the reasons why I felt that Rose was more applicable for him to be with in that aspect, because Rose saw his potential. The Senate says, I can't tell you. Calls Leia, tell 3PO to tell us what the shit says. But it was the Palpatine Senate, not the New Republic. That's true. That is true. That is true here. But getting back onto the topic, what they did in the storytelling over there just make it's like what I said in my Facebook post. Episode 9 ruined the bigger franchise, where only way I could see Star Wars working from now on is they have to make specialized movies like how they did with Rogue One. They would have to make the story shorter and about a particular time period in between these episodes from now on, or how they do in the TV series here. That's the only way Star Wars will work right now, because the movie franchise is over. It's over. Episode 9 ruined it. There's no way you could go. There's no way that you could really go back or continue on from episode 9. Episode 9 destroyed everything. But it's kind of like it is what it is. It's like Chris Terrell's like, did you see Star Wars? Because it's clear that you always skimmed over. You got jokes now. But I bring up episode 9 to kind of give you a contrast to Tron Ares. And I also mentioned that on Facebook today too, because I watched Tron Ares, and I was like, why did they treat Ares more like a reboot than a sequel? It's almost like they rebooted the whole franchise. Yes, they gave great nods to a lot of different things that happened in the first 2 movies, except for a couple of key things here. Like, for one, they brought back the rivalry between I shouldn't say Income, but they brought back the rivalry between Flynn and Dillinger. Dillinger Systems now is a actual threat now again in the real world. Income was still up under the control of Flynn until Sam, and then this is the thing that messed me up here. Sam stepped down as CEO after, it's like they saying that after Tron Legacy, Sam stepped down. Control over Income went over to these twins. And one of the twins had passed away while the other one was, pretty much controlling like the day-to-day, dealing with the if I could say, the creative processes in Income. And that rivalry was going on year after year after year after year until they bring us to where they're at now. Now, it was a lot of good nods. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, but it was a lot of good nods. But I do have to say that Tron Ares is definitely not. It was not written by Bruce Boxleitner. However, they covered a lot of stuff that he did in those 2 movies. what I didn't like is that they never touched about what Sam brought out of the grid on income side in this movie. They just said that he stepped down for reasons unknown. And we all know that the reason unknown was the life entity that he brought out into the real world. If you watch Tron Legacy, you know that, no, that's not really a spoiler because Tron Legacy been out long enough for people to see here. Yes, Kevin was able to get Sam out with the one life form that Kevin found inside of the grid on Incom servers, and pretty much she's out living life in the real world. Ares takes off from kind of sort of a different discovery of that. What ended up happening with Ares is that the rivalry between Incom and Dillinger Systems got to the point where Dillinger Systems was about to have this major contract with all these different military departments. And they had a way to create a grid. In their grid, they could pretty much bring things from the grid that they created into the real world. However, it only had a shelf life of 30 minutes. That was the thing that he did not tell these government entities, that these constructs could not last more than 30 minutes. So it was kind of like a race to see who could find what was called the what was the term that they used here? What was the name of that stupid code? But it was a particular code that could allow things from the grid to stay permanent in the real world. So they was at a race to try to find out where that code resides at, or if one could have been created. However, on Incom side, the remaining twin sister went back through the research that her younger twin had, and eventually found said code in the Space Paranoids game from way back when. So she finds it. Dillinger, and this is the thing. It's not the original Dillinger. It is his son taking over the company. And that was kind of like the thing that I kind of like. It's like all the nods were there from the other two movies. It's like it showed that the mother was, gave up her seat to the son, and the son was doing all this stuff behind the scenes, and he decides to go and hack the Incom system to find out that the twin eventually found the whatchamacallit code. I can't remember the term that they used, but they found the actual code. They found the actual code and everything. She finds it, she puts it on kind of like a flash drive and everything. And he sends, Ares and Athena. He brought them out of the grid and into the real world to track her down before they could get the code from her. So while all this was going on, they come out, and Ares by this time has developed. Now, Ares was developed by Dillinger Systems. And Ares was one of those type of programs that became kind of like self-aware. He was like, everything that Dillinger was telling him seemed kind of suspect. And he was like looking at all the data and everything. He was like, there's just things that you haven't been telling us. You just expect us to follow the programming as given. And then, like, for the times that he was actually brought into the real world, he was able to experience things like rainfall and wind gust and all of these different sensational feelings that only, human beings would know about. So, no, not a problem. So, not a problem. So he was dealing with all of that. So he was getting more enamored with humans as far as what they were, how they were responding to the social, the social ecology of humans at that point. So by the time that he, Dillinger gave the command to go after the twin, he was like, okay, I'm on board to get this code. And he's at the point, it's like, once we get this code, we're going to turn on Dillinger. Or at least I'm going to turn on Dillinger. He already made it up in his mind. He's turning on Dillinger because he knew that, Dillinger has not been upfront about everything to this point. His number 2 in command, Athena, was like, okay, it's like, I get it. Everything doesn't make any sense. Some of it seems kind of irrational, but usually, the data kind of speak for itself. It's like, it doesn't necessarily implicate that Dillinger is lying to you, but at the same time, it is suspect. So one thing led to another. They was not able to get the code from the twin. The twin destroyed it, threw it into the river. So Dillinger goes to plan B. We're going to send a helicopter to where they're at just before the time was up for Athena and Ares to go back into the grid. Now we're going to send the twin in the grid with them. So now the twin finally gets into the grid. The Dillinger's grid creates an identity disk for her. And because the identity disk was done after she knows about the code, what they were going to do was they're going to extract the code directly from her. Or at least where she was able to get the code directly from her. Now, when they do that inside of the grid, she would have been immediately de-rezzed, which means that they were about to get ready to kill her inside of the computer system. They was given the order to kill her. Ares was like, okay, if that's your order, and this is after he does all the research about the twin and everything. If that's your order, I'll try to do it. At that point, he turns on Dillinger. So he goes back into the room and it's like, tells Athena, Dillinger was not available. We have to wait. And then Athena was like, kind of like, no, that doesn't sound like Dillinger. It's like, are you sure? It's like, that is an order. He was indisposed. We have to wait. So Athena, takes Ares at his word, knowing good and well that it's like, it sounds like Ares is compromised. So she goes out the room and tries to contact Dillinger directly. He ended up making a deal with the twin to be like, look, if you could get me this code, I will need it. I don't trust Dillinger, and I don't trust what they have planned for this code here to keep, to bring things back permanently. If you are able to get me this code, we will be able to do X, Y, and Z together. So he makes the deal with her, finds a way to get them back out of the grid. So now he's back out and she's back out. He only has 30 minutes to live. If he doesn't get the code, he's dead. Because if he goes back into the grid, they will kill him. They will kill him back in Dillinger's grid. Yeah, Tron Ares. Yeah, this is Tron Ares, yes. Yeah, this is Tron Ares. So pretty much, 30 minutes, they finally get back to Incom and everything. They finally got a plan. It's like, because Space Paranoid was on the original mainframe server that Flynn had and developed back in the 1980s, they thought it was best. It's like, hey, we're going to send you into that mainframe. You probably could get that code in there because that's where I got it from. So they set up their version of the laser. They beamed him in as Athena was called to go and grab both of them. So Athena comes into the world again for the second time, but Dillinger made a fatal mistake in bringing Athena back out. He gave the command that we need. It's like, go ahead, bring back the twin and kill Ares by any means necessary. Because he said by any means necessary, Athena took it for what it was worth. So one thing led to another. Ares goes into Flynn's mainframe to the old 1980s grid. Now, I won't ruin what happened inside of that grid. Watch the movie if you haven't watched it, because the movie is old enough where I'm not going to give away a whole bunch of spoilers, but I'm not going to give you that spoiler. You have to watch that here. Yeah, it was an okay movie, but the whole thing that I said on my Facebook post is it felt that it was a reboot of the franchise as opposed to a sequel. It was literally a true reboot of the franchise because they did a lot of things right and have the movie set up. And they have the movie set up where they could do more sequels after this. But one of the things that is messed up, because now Jared Leto is in kind of like in trouble in real life. So I don't think he could come back and play Ares again. And then the end of the movie opened up the door for a whole nother layer of classic Tron lore to come out. It's I still feel that Legacy, they should have picked up this story, Ares, from where Legacy left off. But we'll get to that in a moment here. In a moment here. But Ares is in the old grid, and then Athena comes after the twin, and everything that Ares was telling Athena started to come true, because as they were fighting, or as the twin was trying to get away, the sprinkler systems came on, and she actually felt water for the first time. She actually had the first sensation of feeling and emotion for the first time, and she was kind of like processing everything that Ares was trying to tell her. And at that point, she kind of realized that Ares was really not compromised, but maybe there was something in the truth about not trusting Dillinger. So she missed the timeline for her 30 minutes being out there. She gets pulled back into Dillinger's system, and then after being there for a few moments, she comes right back out on her own accord. Dillinger kind of looked as like, what in the world are you doing? And he's like, I'm following your directive. It's like, what directive? He told me to get her by any means necessary. And that's when he realized, oh, I fucked up. So Athena being Athena, she went overboard. She started using tech from like the old space Paranoids game and all this other stuff to try to get old girl back into their grid. And I'm going to leave it there because the rest of the movie you're going to see and everything to that magnitude here. I didn't have a problem starting fresh, but what they did at the end of this one was essentially what they did at the end of Tron Legacy. Now you have not only when you look at the full spectrum of all three movies, now you have a program that is living a life of a human. And then you have another life form that was born of the grid out there. And that was one of the things about Tron Legacy that I kind of wish that they would have talked about with Sam stepping down. I didn't have a problem with them starting fresh. That's the reason why I said it felt more like a reboot than a sequel, because we never knew what happened with that new life form after she got out. Because remember, Sam was given the directive by his father to protect her at all costs. So that means that there was something unique about her. Well, I don't consider the one at the end of Tron Legacy a program, because Kevin did not describe her as a program. He described her as an entity. It would have been different if it was a program. Like how Ares is an actual program. In Legacy, it was considered something else here. And that's what makes me kind of like go like, okay, they rebooted the franchise, but it opened up the door for a lot of other things, especially the hidden scene after the end credits. And I was like, you know, jaw dropped. That's like, oh my goodness, they're going back through you know the lore pretty good with this one, with the jaw drop. At the very beginning, there was an Easter egg at the very beginning saying that he stepped down for reasons unknown, and the reason unknown was because of that directive here. That, yeah, she was. Yeah, he specifically said that she was never programmed. It was something that he found that was like resonant energy. And that resonant energy eventually formed into what she became. And she just picked up everything and just started learning from him directly. So you did not see the end credit scene. So you didn't see what the scene after the end credits. Because if you did not see the scene after the end credits, if you want me to ruin it for you, I will ruin it for you. And I will tell the people out there, spoiler alert, if he says go ahead and tell him what happened at the end credit scene. So I guess he's typing yay or nay or something to that magnitude here. But that end credit scene is one of the pivotal things of where they could do a sequel to Ares one. It opens up the door to a lot of nastiness to come down later. And I guess he lost connectivity. Not when do okay. I guess I have to explain what actually happened in that scene. So before the end of the movie, Dillinger's son transported himself into his grid, his own grid. So after it was all said and done, the credits were over and everything. After the credits and over was everything, it goes back to him inside of the grid. So you see him crawl out of the transport module and everything. He looks upon his deactivated grid and everything. He was just looking and just thinking, and all of a sudden the identity disc pops up. It wasn't like any other identity disc. It was an identity disc that has been seen before. So he goes over there and it starts glowing for him. He starts to reach out to it, and he becomes the program that his father designed. He becomes Zark. My jaw dropped. I was like, oh my goodness, this is a game changer. Because if you understood what Zark represents from the original movie, Zark was second in command on the grid. And this is back on Incom side. So everything that was on the Zark identity disc, he's about to now gain. So this opens up the door for him to be almost like Kevin Flynn. That's why I said it sets up for a possible great sequel to this movie. Yes, that was the whole thing about the disc calling out like Zark, 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 and then he finally touches it. It turned the costume, Zark's old costume formed around him. That's what that really was. That's what all of that really was. He's about to have keys to the kingdom, to grid technology. Now, what he does with it is going to be interesting. Does he become like another Kevin Flynn? And if he does, what happens when he finally comes out? So, for those who don't like spoiler alerts and everything, don't listen to me. But that was the end scene there. That was the end credit scene that most people probably did not understand what was going on. Now you understand why that was so pivotal, because he went inside of the grid, in Dillinger Systems grid, and that disc popped up. Not any other disc. Why, out of all things, the old Incom Zark disc, identity disc pops up, and why did he touch it? I thought. See, I was like, I knew once you saw it, you would understand how valuable that end scene is to set up a possible sequel. A man that has nothing to lose anymore because his mom's dead. Dillinger System voted him out as CEO. He escaped the police by going inside the grid. He has nothing to lose. And then out of nowhere, here comes Zark's identity disc. Well, I saw it on Disney Plus, and I questioned what happened to him when he left. When he left to the grid, that's what happened. He became the next Zark. And for those who don't know, Zark was number 2 to the MCP on Incom's old grid system back in the 80s. And Zark was patterned after his father, the first Dillinger. I forgot what Dillinger's first name was in the original Tron movie. And MCP, the original MCP, trusts Zark like that with everything. So you want to tell me now, since Dillinger's system has their own grid and he's inside of it with that particular disc, think about how much damage that he could cause now with nothing to lose. Yep. Yep, go and rewatch it. Go and rewatch it here. And when you rewatch the first movie, then you could understand a lot of the subtleties that was kind of dropped in Tron Legacy. But it was made up for based upon everything that Kevin did. And then you will understand the whole thing about Kevin Flynn other program. I forgot the name of it. Kevin Flynn original program that he used to search MCP for the missing data took over in Tron Legacy. So that's why I say it's subtle things that were dropped between movie to movie to give nods to it. But one of the good things that I like between the transition of Tron to Tron Legacy is that Bruce Boxleitner wrote both of them. So those two movies were rather seamless. Ares takes a lot of knowing what happened in those first two movies to kind of, put two and two together to make all three movies seamless. That's the reason why I said, to me, Ares really wasn't a sequel. It was more of a rebooting of the franchise. Not to say that the rebooting is a bad thing, taking a fresh look at it. But the major thing here is that there's just certain characters that we just needed to know what actually happened to them, like the entity that Flynn made Sam take with him when he came back to the real world. But yeah, I will agree. You might want to go back and watch Tron, the original Tron. I could watch it anytime. Not just off of Disney Plus. I got the Blu-ray over here, so I could watch that anytime here, and I watch it, periodically. So that's one of the movies that I kind of sort of know like the back of my hand. Yeah, I'm a big old Tron geek here, so it is what it is. But when I look at the storytelling there, I feel that the storytelling was of such where it didn't hurt the lore. They paid close enough attention to the lore where doing this newer stuff made sense. Now, all the stuff that they showed in the commercials were a bit misleading, but it wasn't as misleading as what they did with Episode 9, Star Wars Episode 9. To me, there was a little bit more one-to-one comparison to what they did with Tron Ares. I mean, there was no trickery. I would say there was some trickery because of context, but like I said, Episode 9 to me is just a popcorn movie. Once you take all the Star Wars lore out of it. You get something that could entertain you for like an hour, 30 minutes. Tron Ares built upon the older stuff to a certain degree, minus the nitpicky stuff that I talked about here. So it still makes me wonder, has storytelling left entertainment? Are screenwriters sacrificing source material to produce something that would be more entertaining in the long run than what should be out there based upon the source material that's there? But we never know. It's kind of like one of those things here. Yeah, it is misleading. Like I stated in my Facebook post, episode 9 should have been subtitled Rise of Skywalker. It should have been either redemption of Palpatine or the end of the Old Republic, if you were going based upon the actual lore, because everything got destroyed to sunder from the Old Republic in this one. Or this is the redemption of the Palpatine name because of what Rey did. It's had nothing to do with Skywalker. It really doesn't. I mean, technically, there is no Skywalker still around. All are dead. As they said in the joke in Family Guy, they be dead. They be dead. It's like, I hear to see the Colonel. I said he dead. I hear to see Skywalker. I said he dead. But that's pretty much it here in a nutshell. So on that note, I am going to bid you guys adieu here. We actually made it through 2 hours talking about this, which I'm glad for the people who showed up to talk about, storytelling in movies. Oh, yeah, the title. Yes. Okay. I mean, like I said, it's like with that movie, with a lot of stuff that I had to like kind of put on the back burner as far as Star Wars lore, I'm able to enjoy that movie as a popcorn movie. As far as putting the lore back in there, that movie had a lot of problems. And I already discussed them earlier here, so you could go back and rewatch that part here, because that was the first movie that I talked about, in this discussion about has storytelling left entertainment here. But it is what it is here. So to all my people on the not West Coast, on the East Coast, I hope that you guys enjoy your Sunday here, because I'm about to get ready to leave you with less than 7 minutes left in that day. It's like, did you watch the other D Plus stuff? No, the only other Disney Plus stuff that I watched when it comes to Star Wars, I watched Ahsoka. I haven't done Andor or any of the other Star Wars stuff here, because, again, for those who know me, and Green Lantern knows me, he knows that I'm a big Star Wars Rebels fan. That's the reason why I watched Ahsoka, because Ahsoka was the continuation of where Rebels left off. I haven't watched Andor. I haven't watched Skeleton Crew. I haven't watched Bad Batch. I haven't watched The Mandalorian. All of those never really caught my attention. But when Ahsoka came out and I saw that it took off right where Rebels kind of left off at, it caught my attention, because, like I said, I was a big fan of Star Wars Rebels, and it makes that type of storyline makes sense to me. Yeah, that film has issue here. Watch Andor and Mando. Okay, I would try to, but the movie that I'm trying to find now, but it's not out there on Disney Plus, and I'm still not trying to pay $2 or $3 to watch it, is Spider-Man No Way Home. I want to see what's her name talking about do the thing. Do what thing? You know, the spitty thing. It's like, but that's not enough. No, do the thing. it's like, it's like, but I am Spider-Man. throw the biscuit. No, do the thing. See, that's the thing. If you haven't watched Rebels, a lot of stuff with Ahsoka does not make sense. It really doesn't make a lot of sense here. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Rogue One spoke volumes. So I probably will watch Andor then, because Andor probably would make sense because I like Rogue One. Again, if I could find a place where I could watch it on regular streaming, because it hasn't hit. I don't see it ever coming to Paramount Plus. Disney Plus haven't released it as of yet. HBO Max doesn't have it, and Sony doesn't have a streaming service, so I'm not going to pay Amazon like $3.99 to go and watch it, because I don't. It's like I got all these other streaming services. Why I want to pay Amazon $3.99 or all this other stuff to watch it? That's why that's why I haven't watched Ahsoka yet. It's because you haven't watched Rebels. You haven't watched. Okay, so yeah, go back and watch the 3D animated, the whole 3D animated Rebels series. Once you finish watching that, then watch Ahsoka. Everything just clicks. It will click for you instantly. It's like you would love Andor. Dude, just watch it. I got Disney Plus. It's not on Disney Plus. No Way Home is not on Disney Plus. That's the problem. I was out there today to look for it. It is not on Disney Plus. So that's the reason why I kept saying it's like I'm not going to pay Amazon any money or all these other places that is not like Hulu or anything like that, because my Disney Plus has Disney Plus and Hulu combined. It's not on either of those. No, it's not. You could look for it yourself, unless maybe I have to do the whatchamacallit trick, the whatever VPN trick, and try to watch it on my PC. But in the United States, No Way Home is not on Disney Plus. They got Far From Home and Homecoming. They do not have No Way Home, which is kind of messed up. And I kind of figured if it was a Amazon Prime exclusive, I was thinking that the exclusivity would have been up by now, but nope. But anyway, to all my East Coast people, enjoy your Sunday, because we're 2 minutes away from your Sunday. Everybody else, enjoy your Saturday, whether it be sitting in front of television like it will be for me here after I put up these stacks of comic books here. I'm going to try to find more stuff that I need to watch here while I actually have the time before I get back to working on books. Again, I spent close to like $14 for Disney Plus, another $9 to $12 for HBO Max, another $12 for Paramount Plus plus another 14 for Netflix. No, I'm done spending money for any other platform. It's like I'm not giving Amazon Plus or anything else like that here. $3.99. I'm sorry. Break the bank. Break the bank. If I'm breaking the bank, I'm going to be breaking the bank for an older book. It's worth it. You know what? I might break the bank to actually get it on Blu-ray. I might do that. I in my mind of mine, I could justify that one-time purchase and then just go and get it from there. But for right now, live life, grow, and be well, everybody. I'll see you here next week for another episode of From the Desk of the Small Press Publisher. Have a great day.